Hi, my name is Emma Tobias, and I went on Twitter and Instagram and asked the people who have decided for some reason to follow me what their favorite books were of 2020 so that I could tier rank them. Let's dive right in. I believe I have 47 or 48 books to go through. Somehow a lot of people decided to participate in this, which has never happened to me before. Cheers. I have made a few categories that we are going to be using. The first category is OMG Saint, which is basically me saying that they have great taste and they are correct because I feel the same way. The next category is TBR, 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 which, if you've ever been in a conversation with someone who is not familiar with the book internet, meaning a sane person, they will be like, oh my god, what does TBR mean? And you're like, to be read. Basically, I'm saying here, I would also like to read this book, and you have great taste. Next we have never heard of this, but I'm into it. This means I have never heard of it, but it sounds interesting. Pretty self-explanatory. Did I read the descriptions for these books? I'm not gonna lie to you. No, I didn't. So I'm basing this off the cover and the title. It's a bit superficial, isn't it? Oh, I hated that. I hated that a lot. Next we have Not My Thing, but I love this for you. Based on the cover and the title, I wouldn't read it, but I'm glad you're happy. And finally, No. I'm so sorry, but it's a no from me. A book that I have read and I actively disliked. Doesn't mean I'm judging you for liking it, but this is my video, my tier ranking. I should also mention I'm not going to tell you who submitted each book. I don't got that kind of time. But if you're interested, at least for the Twitter part of this, I have a tweet that I tweeted, and there are replies underneath it. So there's that. The first book we have here is And Lovers by Lily King. This looks like literary fiction based on the painterly, very sparse, sort of like hotel art cover. I don't read literary fiction for the most part. The only time I do is when I have already read something by that author, and the only time that I have read something by that author would probably be between the years 2013 and 2016. Otherwise, I will very rarely pick up a book that is literary fiction. So for that reason, not my thing, but I love this for you. Next we have Illuminate. I've heard a lot of good things about Illuminate. It looks like it's sort of the night film in the way that it's hobbled together with like found photographs and such. Or my favorite book from middle school, Kathy's book. Anyone remembers that book? It's like a scrapbook, but a mystery. It was fun. I will never be interested in reading anything by Jay Kristoff because he gives me really bad vibes, and he's also done some things that are icky, gross. Look it up if you're curious. So I would never read this, but I don't judge anyone who does because a lot of people love this book. So I'm going to say not my thing, but I love this for you. I think I love this for you. For the most part. Ducks, Newbury Port by Lucy Ellman. I wouldn't gravitate towards it if it was on like the Kindle app. I wouldn't gravitate towards it. It sort of looks like a short story collection, which isn't really my cup of tea. So again, we're just gonna have to say not my thing, but I love this for you. Next we have Gideon the Ninth. I've heard a lot of things about Gideon the Ninth. It is all ablaze on book Twitter every few months. And until this very moment, I had never seen the cover. So this looks very Hot Topic, very goth, very cool, dark, exciting. I would want to say not my thing, but I love this for you. But I have kind of a thing where sometimes I will pick up popular book Twitter fantasy, specifically books, and listen to them on audiobook. This particular cover doesn't do it for me. So I'm going to rescind what I just said, and it's just going to be another not my thing, but I love this for you. Into the Drowning Deep. Now, I do remember who submitted this, my friend Bree, and Bree has great taste. I have never heard of this, but I'm into it because I know that she has great taste, so I feel pretty good about that. Space girl. That's my new favorite TikTok song. Next we have In Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This is literary fiction. It's nominated for the Man Booker Prize or shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, but I do follow him on Twitter, and I used to be Twitter mutuals with him very, very, very long time ago, and he was very kind to me. So therefore, big, giant TBR, 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 The Bass Rock. I think this looks interesting. It looks like it's literary fiction, but it looks a little fantastical, which is something I do enjoy when I pick up literary fiction. If there is a fantastical element or something a little eerie about it, especially if it's a short book, like a literary fiction book that's eerie, that's under 200 pages. I'm going to say I've never heard of it, but I'm into this. Beach Read by Emily Henry. Oh my god, same. I loved Beach Read. It's on my top 5 of the year, and I will 100% be rereading it in January when the sadness is at its peak. Know My Name by Chanel Miller. This actually showed up probably 3 or 4 times, so this is a lot of people's favorite book of the year. I have wanted to read it. I haven't been in a mental place to read it quite yet, but this is definitely on my TBR. It's a very important book, a very powerful book from what I understand. So TBR, TBR, TBR. I have Grown. Grown has been on my TBR ever since I heard about it, so that's an easy one. Severance. See, I have heard a lot of things about this book. Very mixed things. Some people seem to love it, some people seem to really not. I don't remember what it's about, but I think it's dystopian or post-apocalyptic or something like that. So I'm going to put Severance as not my thing, but I love this for you. Next we have This Is How You Lose the Time War. I actually started this at one point in this year and didn't finish it, put it down. So I'm going to say TBR. I didn't dislike it, I just wasn't overly enthralled by it the first bit that I listened to, but I think I'd have to give it some time. Next we have 10 minutes 38 seconds in This Strange World. I have never heard of this, but I like the title. I like books with long titles that sound a little kooky. For that reason, I'm gonna say I've never heard of it, but I'm into it. Space Girl, I'm at a lunar eclipse. I remembered the lyrics. The Toll by Neil Shusterman. This is the 3rd book in a series. Not into it. It's just not something that I would gravitate towards or pick up. But, you know, happy for you. My Dark Vanessa. I have never taken the time to learn what this book is about, but I know a lot of people love it. And I think that's great. I'm scared to say, like, TBR. I'm also scared to say not my thing, because honestly, I don't know if it's my thing or not. I have been known to pick up a thriller if I'm in the right mood, but I'm gonna say TBR, because a lot of people that I really trust and have similar tastes to like this book. The Invisible Life of Addie, LaRue by V.A. Schwab. I read this recently. We're gonna have a very short review of this right now. I never read a V.A. Schwab book. I don't think I'll read another one, although I do own one of her books of Dark and Shaded Magic, I think. I didn't love this book. I actively really disliked it. I don't think it's a bad book. I just didn't like it. I don't like books about time travel or weird timey things unless they're like Doctor Who-y. I hate doom romance. That's another thing. I kept feeling like Addie LaRue, who I kept calling Addie Laurie because I'm a Southerner, and that's just what kept coming out of my mouth. Thanks, Madeline, for pointing that out. I kept seeing her as Blake Lively / Serena Vanderwoodson, specifically Serena Vanderwoodson, the entire time I read this book. Henry, definitely like Dan from Gossip Girl / Joe from You. Maybe the Joe from You part is because we worked in a bookstore, but I don't know. That's what I kept saying as. The point is, I get why people like it. It is a book totally and utterly not made for me. So, no, I'm so sorry, but it's a no for me. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This showed up twice, I think, in people's favorite books. I had never heard of it. So I'm going to say, have never heard of this, but I'm into it. We have Radiance, which seems like a dark romance fantasy book. I'm getting from the cover. The person who submitted this said like that wasn't really normally what they were into, but they really liked it. So that's cool. I don't think I would pick this up. The cover is giving me too many like 2010 Tumblr vibes. And for that reason, not my thing, but I love this for you. A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. OMG, same. I really love this book. I read it years and years and years ago, but I think it's so good, and I'm a big fan of it. The Song of Achilles and Circe are right next to each other. I know everyone loves these. I hate historical fiction when electricity isn't even a thought in the air. Do you know what I mean? Like, electricity isn't even a whisper in the wind. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So I don't want to say I would never pick these up because so many people love them, but I also don't think that they're really my thing. I think Circe's more of my thing than Song of Achilles, so I'm going to say Song of Achilles not my thing, but I love this for you. But Circe, just quietly on my TBR. The Astonishing Color of After. I have heard lots of good things about this and lots of bad things, mixed reviews. I don't know if I'd ever pick it up, so I'm going to say not my thing, but love this for you, because I think if I wanted to pick it up, I think I would have already picked it up. Sorcerer of Thorns. I'm not going to say I would never pick it up, but it looks like it has horses, and fantasy with a lot of horses doesn't appeal to me. I can't explain that. The Dream House, this is actively on my TBR. It looks really good. It's a memoir. I really like memoirs, almost always. Tell Me How You Really Feel. This looks like a queer sapphic romance. I think it's YA. I've heard of this, so I think, but I haven't heard of it enough for it to be on my TBR, but I've heard of it. But I think I would read it, so I'm going to say TBR. Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is a Reese Witherspoon book, so therefore it's like on my TBR. I know nothing about it. I hate the cover, but it is a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, so I like that. Such a Fun Age is also a Reese Witherspoon book club pick. It is on my TBR. This was Emma's pick. I know this because I remember thinking, wow, Where the Crawdad Sings, which is the next book here, isn't your favorite book of the year, and I was shocked. So, Where the Crawdad Sings, this isn't on my TBR. I think it's about the South, and it's literary fiction, which to me, I live in the South, and I don't like reading literary fiction set in the South for a lot of reasons. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's set in the South. It is a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, but not my thing. Home for Goddesses and Dogs. This looks like a middle grade book. The only, I think, middle grade book on this list. I love middle grade. I just finished the Third Nevermore book by Jessica Townsend, and it's one of my favorites of the year. But I don't like books about dogs. I love dogs, but I don't like reading about dogs. I can't explain that. Say not my thing, but love this for you. Pet. This looks like also a middle grade book, but it doesn't have a dog on the cover. I have not heard of it, but I think it won the Newbery or the Prince Award or something. Middle grade or YA. I haven't heard of it, but it looks really good, so I'm into it. Book of Coli, or Coli. I keep thinking of E. coli, and that scares me. Not my thing, but I love this for you. Heartstopper. This is like very lightly on my TBR. I could have bought it a million times, but haven't. So it's a quiet TBR moment. The Color Purple has been on my TBR for a long time, and my friend Savannah put this as her favorite book of the year, and so I think this is a good push to actually finally pick it up. Take a Hint, Danny Brown! OMG, same. This More Than Gonna Life, Chloe Brown. I read both this year, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown was so good, and I absolutely loved it. Kelly Hubbard is one of my new favorite romance writers, and my favorite romance writer, I think, of the year. Next we have Sparrow. I have never heard of this, but it doesn't look like my thing, but I'm happy for you. Sadie, OMG, same. I love Sadie. Everything Beautiful Is Not Ruined. This looks like kind of a hard-hitting YA. So I'm going to say not my thing. I love this for you. You have The Friend. This has a beautiful cover. I really like the cover. And for that reason, I'm going to say I've never heard of this, but I'm into it. We Were Villains. Oh no, I have no idea what to do with this one. I've heard it's boring. I've heard it's really good. I don't know where to go with this. I'm gonna say it's on my TBR, but it's, again, lightly on my TBR, because as much as I love the aesthetics of dark academia, I don't really enjoy reading dark academia. I think my only exception to that is when it's YA dark academia. We have Emma by Jane Austen. Someone read that this year, and that makes me really happy, and that's OMG same. When people ask me what my favorite book is, I like to say Emma, because it makes me sound really self-centered, and also it's probably the first classic I ever read that I really, really loved and enjoyed, and I get really swoony about it. Sea White, that's not my thing. It looks like literary fiction. We have The House of Mirth. Edith Wharton is not my thing, but love that for you. I did an entire English degree without actually having to read Edith Wharton, so I think that I was like given excerpts of her books to read, and I didn't read them. That's how much I didn't want to read Edith Wharton. Normal People, I have tried. Good lordy, I have tried. No, I'm sorry, but it's a no for me. I don't know how many times I have tried to read this book and put it down. I have DNF'd it like 4 times. It's just, it's so not it for me. Like, people being moody and just not communicating. I know that's like simplifying it too much. It's just so uninteresting to me. And I say that, but I love it's the way it's done that I didn't really enjoy. But I get why people like it. We have The Illumination of Ursula Flight, which sounds really interesting. Long title. I've never heard of it, but I'm into it. Here we go. The House in the Cerulean Sea. OMG, same. This is on my top 5 favorite books that I read this year. Absolutely loved it. Pick it up. It's fantastic. I think his name's Race and Class and the Ruins of Empire. I've never heard of this, but looks like a really interesting nonfiction book, which I always enjoy. Nonfiction. I especially like nonfiction audiobooks. If you have any good recommendations of nonfiction audiobooks, I'm always down to hear them. The last book here is One Last Stop. Emily, who is a lovely, lovely book person, submitted this, and yes, this comes out next year, but Emily read an arc of it. I actually read an arc of it pretty recently, and I have no idea what to do with One Last Stop, because it's not an OMG same, because I liked it, but I didn't love it, and it's obviously not on my TBR and doesn't fit anywhere else. So this is going to be like my one lonely category of like, yeah, it was good. Pick it up in 2021. I think you'll enjoy it. So that's the last category that I didn't actually make up. So anyway, space girl, I'm at a lunar eclipse. Your lips look like lips. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if it was interesting at all, let me know. Have a lovely day.